Hello. Welcome to everybody.
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. I'm trying to get my screen to cooperate. That's just really
I'm actually in the middle of something right now, so can I do it at the office when I come in?
somebody's on. Let's see, music.
Okay, it's Maria, right? Marina. Okay, yeah, I'll ask for you. Okay, see you tomorrow. Yeah, bye.
All right. So we've got, this is the strangest thing. You. Oh, shows everybody's here. How strange. It's taken over my camera. Oh, folks, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't see you at all.
I can hear you, David. Yeah, I can see you.
Hearing fine.
Hearing and seeing you.
Cannot.
Screen sharing is on.
My camera's on. On.
Cool. Well, so sorry about the little glitch there. So welcome. We're going to do a little demonstration today of our new practice groups. And so I just wanted to, we're short a host today, so there's a last minute emergency. So if you have questions, just raise your hand, flag me down, and we'll be happy to answer your questions as we go. We've been working on this for the last 6 months and probably even longer. And it really was with the formation of our partnership with Ovida that we finally had a platform that we could use to fulfill a dream we've had for a long time, which is to be able to provide better support for more narrative coaches to have a space to practice. So if you want to just drop a quick note in the chat box and let us know how you're doing and where you're calling from this morning as a way to get acquainted on the call, and then we'll dive in and share a little bit about what we're doing. So for now, just say hello and introduce yourself in the chat box. You can see who's here. Excellent. Tanisha. Yeah. And to Betty's point, just to make sure that everybody is muted, we had somebody there while I was scrambling trying to find you who was unfortunately on the air. So just make sure you're muted and come off mute if you'd like to share anything or ask any questions. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces. Want to offer a special shout out to Brian Watson's on our call today. So Brian is one of the co-founders of Ovida, who is actually happens to be in the States this week for getting ready for the ICF conference. So we might have a chance to hear a little bit from Brian later on, but glad to have him here.
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone.
So wonderful. Look at all these things. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes just orienting us to what we're doing here, and then we'll give you a chance to talk to each other and look at the platform itself. So these are just some of the things we're going to cover off today about why we're doing this and what we're offering, and give you a chance to ask any of your questions. I thought it would be wonderful to bring back, this is probably my most original photo that we've used in the Narrative Coach program over the years. And it was always meant to sort of signify that I wanted narrative coaching to feel like you were sitting by the dock and having a quiet and deep conversation with somebody. And every now and then you might go out on a boat to explore, but you always come back to that caliber of conversation. And so part of the value for me of creating these practice groups is to be able to create a space where there's a lot of technological support for your conversations, but in reality, we want them to feel like this, so that you can relax, enjoy, learn about yourself, learn about your peers, and get better at narrative coaching. And so, again, as we go, if you've got questions, just let us know. But I wanted to sort of start with, kind of why we're doing this. And so all of this will be recorded, and so you'll have a chance to watch this later if you'd like, or share it. But we know from the research for decades that the most significant contributor to the growth of a practitioner is not more information, not more time sitting in a classroom, but really the ability to do practice. But not just any old practice. It has nothing to do with the amount of time. It has to do with the quality of your consciousness, sort of your awareness of what's happening, your intentionality, like what are you practicing? Why are you practicing that? And be able to sustain that over time. And for many of us, we're busy. We don't always have the colleagues around us that we like. So one of the gifts of this platform is it gives you a magnificent space to do all three of these things to practice. We also need a place to reflect. Again, we often get busy and don't take the time to reflect on the things that we do or the sessions that we have. This gives you a chance to go at your own pace, to work with the material that's generated, and reflect on it at your own pace, to get some help in that reflection through what we think of as generative feedback. So one of the things you'll get as part of our program is a little handout I've created around how to give each other good feedback and how to take on and act on the feedback that you receive. A third thing that is really important to us is that we know how important it is to have colleagues. Sometimes it gets a bit lonely to be a coach because we're out there on the front lines working with our clients, and it's helpful to have others. And so we've decided, rather than just having you as individuals on the platform, to actually form practice groups. So not only will you be able to practice with a peer, but you also be able to share your experiences with others in a small group. And then the last thing is that for me, as many of you know, I've been working on this project with the Institute of Coaching at Harvard, and we're looking at how to move beyond competency models, which we've always done in narrative coaching, but we feel like it's even more important now to not just get better at what we do, but to actually reimagine what coaching even is, because we're being asked to show up to our clients and to the world in some profoundly new ways. And we feel like this partnership with Ovida is a great opportunity for us to be able to not only showcase what we're doing in narrative coaching, but create the support you need to actually be the kind of coach that the world needs now. And so one of the core pieces of that, the model that I've created in this project, is to be able to realize that competency, the skills you have, are just one of what I think of as 5 elements that go into what I think of as the 5 masteries, and they're all supported by a different level of maturity. So any of you who've studied integrative development with me would recognize these 5. But it's important for me for guys to highlight that on the platform, it's not just practicing specific narrative coaching skills, but it's to continue the journey we've been on since the very beginning, which is a lot about developing yourself. And so there's one thing that's that video offers. It's a pretty stark view of ourselves, and it allows us to begin to see ourselves in some profoundly new ways that we might sort of gloss over otherwise, and be able to get right in on the details of what we're doing and what we were thinking at that time, what we were feeling at that time, so that we can understand the mechanisms by which we make choices in coaching. And so, again, this is why we think this is a great opportunity. So this is going to be open to all the students and graduates of narrative coaching in all the forms we've done this over the last 20 years. It's going to allow you to direct yourself through your participation in these small groups. So you decide for yourself what's most important for you to get better at. And then both the platform and mentors, if you choose that option, and your peers will help you do that. So you're doing that with others, but in ways that are specific to what you most want to improve on yourself. And so I just wanted to just give you a brief overview of kind of what this includes. So we've given you sort of 3 choices. We're doing this as a pilot. We'll launch in full in January based on what we learn from all of you who join us during this pilot. But you can read this in a bit, but in essence, everyone gets access to the platform at different levels, but everyone gets access to the platform. And you'll see that in just a minute. So this will make even way more sense in a few minutes when I show you the actual platform. And some resources to support you in this. So this is for people that really just want to kind of reinforce what they've learned, practice a bit, get a feel for the platform. And then if you want to engage a bit more, then we also offer some more support for what we think of as small intentional practices, like how do I look at what I've done and decide what I need to do to practice to get better at certain specific aspects of what I've done. We also will hook you up with a mentor in your small group, and give you a chance to have an expert sort of narrative coach support you in working on your own developmental edges, and meet up with them and get feedback from them. And then lastly, if you want to spend more time with me, we've created an option for that as well. So what this actually looks like. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what this all looks like, and then we'll show you what the platform itself looks like. So we're going to host a couple of orientations coming up for all those that register, so that we can walk you through the platform. It's a lot to absorb all at once, but once you get a feel for it, it's actually quite intuitive. But we're going to sort of walk you through those, so that when you sort of jump in yourself, you feel like you've got a good understanding of how it all works. We're going to take care of the registration for you to get you on the platform. So that's all will be set up. And then we'll divide you into groups by time zone. So you'll be with others that make scheduling easy to meet. We're going to give you some resources, like I said, on giving feedback. And all this even before you even start, which is great. Then we're going to invite you to choose out of your practice group a coaching partner. We found that when in the past that if people paired up with the same person for a period of time, it often worked the best as opposed to moving around, because it allows you to focus on what you want to get better at, as opposed to having to get used to a new person each time. And you kind of get into a rhythm, you start to get more confident in giving feedback to each other. And so we're going to help you and support you to choose a partner. And then you'll schedule your sessions on Avita at your own schedule. So when the times that suit you, it's all recorded in the same place, so it doesn't really matter when you go on. So pick a time that's convenient for you. And then you'll have a chance to provide feedback to each other. Generally, the recordings and things are available on the platform. In about half the time it took you to record them, they'll be available to you to actually view. There's a distinction in this one that I want to share with you, which is that one of the things about coaches is that, like coaching, they like to see an outcome. They like to see people be happy and do well. And so it's tempting to want to use all of your time on Ovida to record yourself doing entire coaching sessions. So I'm going to offer the possibility that you might not want to do that. And the reason is that it's often helpful in the very beginning to record yourself doing an entire session. So you have a whole sense of, from start to finish, how do you coach? And then from that, you can start to pick out certain things that you've noticed or would like to address. And so then I'm going to encourage you to do smaller coaching sessions because they're going to surface the same issues, but you can do a few more of them, you know, and just sort of stop and then start again. And it gives you smaller sort of data sets to kind of look at. And we're also, and Brian can speak to this maybe a little while, but we're incorporating more and more on the platform to actually help you practice. So if you, for example, notice yourself getting really excited when clients talk, you get so excited that you don't pause before you ask them the next question. And it feels sort of like what I think of as a loving interrogation. They know you care about them, but they really would like you to slow down and not ask so many questions. So you might say, I need to really get at, and this is where the small intentional practices are very helpful. I need to get better at just breathing before I ask my next question or say anything. And so you might ask your partner, say something to me so I can practice breathing. Say something to me, and then I'm going to time myself. 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is, just to experience yourself waiting before you talk again. And so you can actually watch yourself on video trying different attempts at getting it better at whatever you've identified you'd like to get better at, which I think is as valuable as recording an entire coaching session. And then we've got a nice forum for you in our Circle Learning community, where you can share what you've experienced, what you've realized, questions you've had with other people that are also in the program. If you decide you want to have a mentor, we'll assign you to a practice group with a mentor that's based in your time zone, more or less, so that, again, it's convenient for everybody. They will take care of organizing your practice group for you. And then we're going to host some workshops on small intentional practices. We've got some resources for you about how to build them. And so we'll kind of walk you through that even more. And then you'll have some time at the end of every month to meet with your group and with your mentor to kind of go in more detail about what you're discovering and what you're learning and how to get more support there. And then if you'd like to have more time with me, you can do that as well. So for now, I'd like to just give you sort of a sense of the platform itself. We're going to switch off this screen and move to another one in a minute. And then just as a reminder, we're going to send you a couple of surveys during the course of the pilot because we want to know how it's going for you, both to make improvements as we go, but also to be able to just understand kind of what's working for you, what's not, what you'd like to have be different, what's working great, et cetera, et cetera. So, but before I do that, since we have the luxury of having Brian on the phone, Brian, would you be willing to just introduce yourself and see if anything you'd like to add about what we've shared so far, or just anything you want to share before we show everybody the platform?
Sure, David. So I've also got my partner Alex on the line, but I think he's moving between meetings right now, so probably not on video, probably just listening. Thanks everyone for being here. Good to see you all. Yeah, so the story behind Ovida very briefly.
Brian, I'm not hearing you if you're speaking.
Is everyone else hearing me?
Is that true for everybody else?
Yeah.
Yes, we hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's a one-way challenge there, David. I'll just hold on to see if David can get hooked into the sound there. Well, I'll keep going because David knows our story very well. So myself and Alex founded Ovida because we believe very strongly that the incredible progress of AI is going to have significant impacts on humanity. And we need to make sure we deploy that AI to help humans be better at what makes us unique, which is how we communicate. We believe from our experience in coaching that there's a huge potential for improved communication to help humans have better lives throughout their professional and personal lives. And so we built Avita to be a platform where coaches could learn to master new skills, understand their practice better. And we're really excited to have David on board. I think, David's practice in coaching has been groundbreaking, and he's really embraced the use of technology to help us be better, to accelerate the pace at which we learn. So very excited to have you on board, David, and very excited to be supporting your program.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got gremlins in my system today, so I finally find the sound to work. So I heard the last bit of what you were saying. So
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to have you.
Thanks,
and while I've got everybody's screen up here, are there any questions so far? We've sort of thrown a bit at you, but before we launch into the platform itself, is there anything you'd like to share or ask? Well, we have a little pause here. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, let's see if maybe the third time's a charm, and we can get the the platform to actually cooperate with us. So let's see here if we can get this to work. Yeah, I'll just do this. Go. There we go. Excellent. Excellent. Wonderful. I'm going to share the screen. Let's see if, oh, there we go. Wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to put this up here and show you kind of what this all looks like. So when you log into Avita, you will be able to find opportunities to schedule meetings, to view your entire list of all the sessions you've done. So if you ever want to go back to look at any of the ones you've done with your partner, you can do that. It'll all be available to you and only to you. So you get to decide who gets to see your video. So it's private to you. And so one of the features that's really wonderful now is that when you first log into a recording, you have this wonderful pop-up screen that's got a little glossary of all the key icons and what they are. And it really helps you to kind of sort out the menu. And so I know a lot of people appreciate that kind of orientation. As always, you can choose not to see it again if you've already got that mastered, but it's a great way to get yourself started in this. So this is our dear friend Kathy. Kathy was instrumental in a lot of our early narrative coaching programs. And so Kathy volunteered to do a demo with me yesterday. So before we kind of get into the mechanics of all this, I want you just to kind of appreciate this. So the video that we've recorded is across the top. And as always, they capture us in the most fantastic looks on our faces. Brian, could you get AI to get working on this? Can we somehow make it such we always look beautiful in these freeze frames? Because we never do.
Yeah, David, I agree. That's fundamental. That's next up on the list.
It's like better than anything else we could have. We just didn't look so ridiculous. Because we are actually handsome people, but it doesn't look that way in the photos. So both the video and the transcript on the right are both time-stamped against each other. So if you click in any place in the transcript, it'll go right to that part of the video. So it's a great way to, like, you start scanning down the transcript and then you think, oh, did I say that? What was I thinking? Then you go back and look at the video. Oh, I could see why I thought that. And so it's a great way for whether you're a visual learner or maybe more of someone who prefers to read, you've got a way to kind of enter into the recordings in a way that's going to work for you. There's, as you'll see in this little, in the menu bar right below the videos, you've got a summary of the session that the algorithm has provided, which is getting better and better by the week. You've got, if I just click through some of this, you've got just some action items that came out of the session. It's a great way to start building a list for yourself, both as maybe as a coach or particularly the person being coached. So it's giving you a head start on that. It's giving you a chance for you to provide some your own reflections. This is a great way to kind of signal to each other things that you're thinking about or wondering about or noticed in your session. It's a great way to kind of, those things easier fly out of our mind if we're not careful. It's got an opportunity to share feedback on the meeting. And so again, it's a great way to do things asynchronously. So if you've got time and you go back in and you want to put some things down that your mentor or your colleague can see later, you can do that for them so they can read it. You don't have to be online at the same time to be able to do that. So it's a great way to kind of correspond about what's happening in the session. And so say like you're going to be doing a debrief with your partner after you've each had a chance to record each other coaching. So you might want to just signal to your partner, hey, I watched my video when I was the coach, and these are 3 things that stood out for me. And so these are 3 things I want to talk about when we meet up for our debrief. So I know if I'm your partner, I can go in and read that, and I'm sort of mentally prepared to kind of be with you when we're kind of going through your video. This was used to be kind of the epicenter of the display, and now it's kind of moved to just be one option. But this is a great one to visually represent how much time each person talked. Now, and because these we know it's easy to get excited in these things. So Brian and Alex have made it such that this starts recording the minute you log in or the minute you go on, which means that some of the first 2 minutes are spent just chatting with Kathy because I haven't talked to her in a while. So kind of, as you can see, kind of skews some of the other pieces. And we debriefed a bit at the end as well. But it gives you a sense of like, what is the rhythm of this and how much space am I giving to clients? If you end up like with the Alps and it means you may have a more staccato experience in the session and you don't give enough space for the client to actually breathe and be with what's going on. But this, again, there's markings here for what are identified as key moments. So generally when I'm reviewing somebody's recording, I'll go in and start with these first. It often, again, as time goes on, both I as a reviewer and the algorithms get better and better at finding these key moments faster. And it allows you to use your reviewing time, which is often quite precious, to focus on the most significant either moments for the client that were significant for them. So you understand like what actually made a difference to the client. The client can also do that. You can do that. You can add your own moments if something stood out for you. And it just provides a way to kind of get to the core of the most significant elements of a conversation to sort of focus your early stages of your debrief. You can make comments as you go along on some of those key moments. This one's kind of fun. So you see that my share of voice is higher than it would normally be in a normal coaching session, largely because we were chatting here and debriefing at the end. But again, it just gives you a sense of some early metrics that we found are fairly reliable. And it gives us a chance to kind of give a baseline of kind of where we are. If I were to record a series of sessions with Kathy over time, these would show up as a bar graph over time. So if I said, oh, my share of voice is higher than I would like, because we've done now, Brian and Alex have done enough research now to know kind of what is the range for most better coaches. And so if I say, oh, mine's kind of out of that range, So I know that one of the things I want to practice, if this was truly my share of voice in an actual coaching session, that was nothing but coaching, I would say I'd like to work on moving that down over time so it falls within the range of what we know better coaches do. And so if I'm working with my mentor or I'm working with my peer, we can sort of unpack what go back to key moments. Like you talked for 3 minutes there, or you asked like 5 questions in a row. Like what was happening for you then? So you can actually unpack the actual lived moment when you made the choice to maybe talk longer than you should have. And then there's just some settings around choices. And so this sort of gives you the broader navigation over on the left, and this gives you the engagement with the actual material. You can move to any, we have some feedback already starting on the transcript itself. But I just found for me, it was just a wonderful way to begin to focus on where do I want to start addressing my own improvements and where do I want to start in terms of having conversations with my partner around where I'm where they're wanting feedback or where I'm wanting feedback. So I'm going to stop there. There's a lot of, it's easy to get excited about the technology, but I want to just stop here for a minute and see kind of what's coming up for you, either in terms of responses or questions or kind of reflections, kind of what's happening for you as you think about how this would help you in your own practice. So I can see you all. Right. So this is Barbara. Do you have your hand up? Excellent.
Hi, David. I just wonder, it looks fabulous, and this is the first time I've seen anything around this. You describe key moments. How does it define a key moment? Or did I misunderstand that?
No, so there are so one of the things in terms of why I chose to partner with Ovida. So I've worked around the technology space for a long time. I have a weird brain. But part of me is an engineering brain. I like the cleverness of technology in ways that it supports us. But part of why I chose Ovida, not only were they kind of the first to create this, but I feel like they've got and Brian can speak to this, but a very balanced view of technology. There's a lot of claims about what AI can do and will do, and we should be afraid of it, or we should be excited by it. And what I liked about Brian and Alex is they're quite pragmatic about this, because the real point is not to showcase how amazing AI is. It's only useful if it makes you a better coach. And so one of the things, like, for example, in terms of these like 6 metrics here, is they're all things that are directly observable. They're not conjectures by the AI. There's some things that the AI does really well that we might intuit but could never document. For example, keywords. So in some of our early pilot, we had there was an example where somebody used a word like 47 times in the conversation, the same word, and the coach never picked that up. So the AI said, Mayday, Mayday, you're going down. Here's a word the person keeps using, and you're not even addressing this. And so they've only done things they're only going to measuring things, getting back to your question about things that you can observe, things that are documentable in a way, things that we know are central to coaching. So there's some variables it uses to identify what the algorithms believe are key moments. And we know from narrative coaching that we're often looking for different things than the traditional coach might look for. So again, there's 2 things here. One is you can, as a coachee or as a coach, can indicate, I think this is a key moment. One of the things you'll discover, which the research has borne out for years, is that coaches and clients almost never see the same moments as key moments. what matters to the client is often not what matters to the coach as much. And then the second thing is that Brian, we're working on a new piece of this, which will actually allow the system to model itself more on me. So it will start looking for things that I would look for, not just what it was trained to look for. And so again, sometimes you'll look at key moments and think, oh, it doesn't really feel very key to me. And that's fine. You're under no obligation to do any of that with any of this. And you might say, oh, this feels really key. Like, I know this client really well. I know this coach really well. And I know that, for example, maybe there was a death in their family that's really impactful for them. And so I have subtext for how they're showing up on the session. So you might flag, there's a key moment. It has echoes of your grief around your lost parent, say, for example. So it just allows you to kind of really zero in from both the platform side and your side as participants. Where do you want to spend your time when you're debriefing this? And so you might say, for the next month, all I want to do is focus on pausing because I have really bad habits on pausing. So great, we're going to really zero in on key moments where you paused or you didn't pause. And it will be my ongoing advice to you in using the platform. It's easy to feel like a kid in a candy store because it makes so much available to you. So my invitation to you is to not get seduced by that, but actually for your own benefit, it's all here, right? You'll have access to it for quite a while, right? So focus on the things that will inform what you actually want to improve on for yourself. And so then we'll be able to, you'll be able to help yourself zero in on certain kinds of key moments, either self-identified or other identified, that will help you focus on what you most want to get better at.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other thoughts or questions?
Angelique, hi David.
Yes, Angelique.
Does this, if you are the coach regularly using the program, does the AI piece begin to respond to you and I guess almost groom itself based on what it begins to understand about how you coach?
Not really, but Brian, you understand more of the trajectory of this question. So is there anything you want to share about that?
I mean, does it have like a continuing memory,
Yeah.
the more you coach on it?
Oh, sorry, David, I actually missed that question. Can you play that back to me, please?
So Angelique's asking, it's sort of like we were doing with the car model, where it's Angelique is asking, does the AI start to track you as the coach and start to adjust itself based on its interpretation of what you're doing as the coach?
Yeah. So Angelique, that's the future state. At the moment, it requires too much compute power to do that. So the answer is no, not right now. It doesn't track who you are as an individual over an extended duration. But what it does do is it looks inside a session and says, based on your patterns in the session, what's happening. So we'll look at things like your pace, your tonality, your pauses within a session, and we'll say something happened here that changed. So as opposed to knowing who you are and having a pattern of your behavior, we'll say something happened here. You started speaking faster, your tone of voice changed, you paused longer than you had been previously. And that's indicative to us of a key moment, something happening. And what we found is there's a very tight correlation between those pretty simple measures of your communication and important moments in conversations, which I think is something that David has been teaching in his coaching and his training in the narrative coaching model for years. And that's where the interesting overlap between us happens is we're finding in the maths that what David's been saying in his training and in his thinking is real.
Yeah, I think this is great. I mean, you can actually picture what's going on in the session and really kind of look at the metrics, if you will. of what
Yeah,
happened, at least it allows for a deeper dive into really self-evaluation, which I
yeah.
think is great. That's
Yes.
really, it's a really cool program.
David, Betty had a question as well, which popped up on the chat,
Yes, which was?
which was, is this only for someone who's done narrative coaching?
Primarily, yes. But Beverly, you've done stuff with us in the past. I recognize your name. Where there she is. But in time, we'll open this up to others, but the other people in the process will all be graduates of our program. So you may be at sort of a disadvantage if you've never done anything. But again, we've had people that I know we're coming through this that have been to smaller programs in the past, the WBEX program in the past, retreats I've done. So having a sort of a basic understanding and immersion in narrative coaching would be really helpful. Yeah. So Sarah, and then we'll go to Sandy.
Hi, David.
Hey, Sarah.
Sorry to lower the tone, talk about money, but I've got to leave at 4.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because I noticed on the Avida website there's subscription charges.
Yeah.
I was just wondering will we pay a subscription to Moment Institute, or do we have to subscribe separately to Avida, and just how's that going to work?
Yeah, great question. I like those really fundamental, basic questions. They're so good. So no, you will pay a fee for the program, and we will register you within Avida. So we'll take care of all of the fees that Avida charges us, and that'll be paid for out of your fee to us for the program. So the fee pays for us and pays for your time on Avida.
And does that sign us up for so many months, or is there a 3-month trial, or is it a yearly subscription, or?
So we're running the practice groups in 3-month increments, and a subscription model come January. This pilot is a one-off. Sign up, come do it. If you love it, come back for more. If it's enough, then don't. And then after that, it's sort of a subscription model. And again, one of the things that will be really helpful to us in terms of feedback of how much of this do you want? And so what's the right level to kind of gauge the involvement? And so once you're in the Avida system, then that part's taken care of. But then every time you come back for a quarter of practice groups, there will be a fee that will be split the same way for cover your time on Avida and cover your time with us. And so we'll learn a lot from the pilot about how that all stacks up, and that'll affect how we price this going forward. But you won't have to start over from scratch each time with Avida. You'll be in their system. You'll just have to re-up to get access to it again. So.
Great, thank you. And I'm just saying, because I've got to leave in a minute, I'm going to miss the end. I'm sorry. Will something come out to us for us to sign up?
Yes, and on the you'll see if you watch the very end of the video, there's a link to where you can sign up, and we'll send out a follow-up email, I think today or tomorrow morning, with the sign-up list in there as well.
Super, thank you.
All right, be well. Sandy, where'd Sandy go?
Right here. Hi,
There she is.
David.
Hey.
Good to see you. Well,
You
Sarah
too.
took care of my question. So my comment is just, this is fabulous. I'm also a mentor coach. So just the idea of having some of this already taken care of, and then the way that it's set up, that you can individualize to what it is that you want to work on. I just think it's pretty fabulous. So
Yeah.
just wanted to comment that.
Thank you. Yeah. We ran a large pilot at the beginning of the year, and we had a number of mentors and supervisors in that group, and they were just talking about how this, like for me, when I was reviewing these videos, and this was in the early days of the platform, in our pilot, it cut my review time by 2/3 because I didn't have to wade through everything. I could just go right, because again, and you think, well, you might miss something. Well, yes, that's true. You're going to miss something. But the reality is that there's a lifetime of development you could do out of one coaching video in this space, because there's so much here. And what we found is that in reality, people can only absorb so much development. And this kind of fast tracks both your ability to kind of see into what's happened and also the platform's ability to do the same. So you can kind of get at what's most essential faster, and then you've got more data to support it and illustrate it and to kind of and then to go in and practice it. So for me, and one of the things Brian and I have been working on is kind of creating a complete loop from sort of almost assessing yourself, doing some practices, getting data and feedback, getting resources and practice spaces, and then showing how that improves your coaching. So you can sort of move through the whole development and performance cycle as in time. And so I think it's just really exciting. Yeah. Robert.
Thank you, Dave. This is extremely exciting for me. I've been working for years really bringing myself up to the ability to coach at all, even though I have some background in related skill set counseling. But the mindset foundation, I've been working on that specifically, and I feel very close to ready to take that on. But the other four of the maturity seem to be lacking. My neurodiversity has caused me to always take an overview. I get the big picture very easily and quickly and comprehensively, but I tend to neglect the details. But both of those views are necessary for effective work. And this program here, I've tried at least 3 other coaching modalities, which has been unsatisfactory for me. This one, though, addresses my specific needs with specificity and a really well-planned focus on a particular coaching session with 2 particular coaching individuals, a coach and a coachee. So I'm very excited about this. The question I have primarily is, maybe it's been answered and I just missed it, was that this is a pilot program, so one off right now. What is, and I'm very interested in going on with it. I don't even have to. I have to go through the pilot. I see the pilot is going in the right direction. So, but what is the fee for this particular pilot program? That's the only thing that's really bothers me.
So I'll show that to you in a few minutes after we answer these questions. But that's the next slide. I can show you that, Robert.
That's fine then. I can wait.
Yeah, and part of again, part of why I enjoy the platform is it appeals to different kinds of learners, so different kinds of information is displayed. And one of the things we most want to learn more and more about is the frequency. Like what is the ideal number of sessions people would like in a month? How much is too little and how much is too much? So we're kind of going for what's the Goldilocks space that will help us kind of shape our offers and kind of what do we notice about how people actually use the platform and how they use their practice groups. And so really it's just for us to be able to fine tune the offer to match what people really want. Right now we've done sort of a cursory kind of surveying and talking to people, and we've put forward 3 choices, and we might learn that that people want something that we hadn't imagined, or they want something that would be a combination of 2 of them. The other thing I want to say while I'm looking at this before I move on to see if there are any other questions is that even in this day and age of all the hype about AI, I found that even the bigger platforms don't always do a great job creating transcripts. We end up spending a ton of time editing transcripts. And one of the reasons I have such appreciation for Avita is they pretty early on recognized that the transcripts are a big deal in this space because you're really going after words, phrases, the specifics matter. And you don't want to you're going to lose all your time that you gained by kind of shortlisting the key features or key moments. But if you have to spend all this time rewriting the transcript. So they have invested in a sort of a modality to create transcripts, which is, for me, more accurate than anything I've seen anywhere by anyone. So again, it gives you, I just felt, for me, I've got confidence that, yeah, there's a few things with people have different accents and come from different, first and second, third languages, or maybe using something that's unique. But by and large, I find that 99% of the time, it's so accurate that I can just really relax and just be with the transcript. So again, saves a lot of angst on my part. So other questions or thoughts about the platform itself while we're still here?
One of the response to that is that my orientation is the connection, that words are important and responses are important, but perhaps even more important is the call and response, that it's in the connection that the real work gets done. And if I'm focusing entirely on what I'm saying, and focused entirely on what they're saying, I'm missing that flow. So this feature is strikingly important.
Yeah. And for you, Brian, I'm just scanning the summary. It's pretty. I mean, for one, there's no hallucination, so everything's accurate. Everything, there are some nuances because I know Kathy that in ways that AI does not, but it captures the essence of what we talked about quite brilliantly. So again, it just kind of gives you, none of this is ever meant to replace you as a coach. It's really meant to sort of surface things that we sort of know or sense, but makes it more available to us. And it kind of takes out some of the drudgery sometimes of reviewing all these things and trying to figure a bunch of stuff out. It kind of provides that information, and you have senses like, I just observed this coach and it seemed like they talked a lot of the time. Well, now you've got a number to back that up. And then you can track that number over time. And they said they wanted to get better, but their number hasn't changed. So, we might want to bring that up next time. And so it just I feel is a great augmentation to our own efforts to develop ourselves. So other questions or thoughts? So I'm going to go back and stop the share for a second. And we'll share again and go the other way. There we go. So happy that the technology is actually cooperating now. So we've done that. So this goes back to your question, Robert. So these numbers are for the entire 3 months. So again, if you want to just do this on your own, kind of more casually, this is what it is. If you want to have some mentoring support, which is really great, that's a price for that. And if you want sort of the higher end and want to go deeper into this, you can have time with me and some additional resources. Here's the link. You can go there today if you want. That's now live, and register for the level that you want. And it starts the week of September 11th. So we've got a few more of these sessions coming up, and some more resources will load into the forum for you. I'm just gonna, and then if you, let me just see if I can, is there anything about this before I move off of this screen? All good? I want to show you one more thing. Let's challenge David. to see if his if his tech karma is good or not. I'm just going to pull up this, and here's the practice groups. Cool. All right. Get rid of that. Share this. All right, here we go. So we've got a sort of a forum set up just for this. This is where all of your orientation materials will be. We've already got a person in the, there's from Emily. And this is a forum again where you can come and ask questions, share more about yourself or your experience. All of your resources and things will be kind of over here. So that will all be available to you anytime you want to come in and get the resources at your level. And so we're really excited to be able to offer that. This is where we are housing all of our programs these days. But that will be available to you all the time as a way to get to know each other and connect with other people in the program. And then ultimately, these practice groups will be a much bigger part of our narrative coaching offerings next year, because we're going to start creating master classes as well as finding ways for the narrative coaches to connect with each other across all the different cohorts. So that's in the works for next year as well.
David, while you're on there, can you just show us where you actually sign up
for
the groups?
Yeah, so if I go back, I need about 9 screens for that. I need like one of those like NASA things, like all the screens and all the different. If I go back to go back here. So go here. You don't need to share screen for this part. Let's pick this up. So I share the screen again. Screen share, where are you? Oh, yes, you can see this now?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me move you out of the way so I can see. So this is the whole page that's got information on what you get, and then you can sign up for another one of these. We had so much fun. And then we've got the choices down here of things for you to register. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, it's all ready to go. Yeah, and we've had a really good response to this, and for me, it's been a long time in the making to be able to offer these groups and offer more support for practice. When I couldn't fly during the pandemic, and then now with climate concerns and whatever, I've started to cut back my travel around the world teaching live. So we're not giving as much chance for people to practice that way. And I had to wait for something like Ovida to come along to actually make this available to people. And so, and just really appreciate the openness to Brian and Alex, the other co-founder, and a few other key coaching people have really helped them create something pretty amazing. And so really happy to be a part of that.
Hey, David, if I jump in there for a moment, there's 1 or 2 questions that popped up on the chat, one of which is security.
Yes.
How do we reassure clients in terms of security of the content?
Yeah.
And consent? So that's from Beverly. So I can answer that from the Ovida perspective, Beverly. Sure. We're based in the United Kingdom, the business legally, which makes us subject to the General Data Protection Regulation in the EU, which is by far the most stringent data protection regulation in the world. And it's actually the reason we placed it there, because we realized from early on that confidence, when you're sharing coaching sessions, confidence in your privacy is critical. So we apply the most stringent possible processes to preserve data privacy. We're a privately held company, and we are not for free. So I would be nervous of any video conferencing tool that provides you a service for free, partly because nothing's for free in the world. and the currency you're paying with there is your data. Avida, your data, we never trade your data, we never sell it, we depersonalize it, and we charge a fee partly because we do that service. So none of your data ever leaves our offices or our servers. The second thing is we are working with several Fortune 500 companies already, and we've passed all of their data tests. So penetration testing, data privacy tests, we comply with Fortune 500 financial services firms, and they have got incredibly strict requirements, 300-page forms we have to fill out, and active penetration tests and data privacy tests that they've conducted on Avida. So yeah, we meet the requirements of the most stringent regulations in the world and the most demanding customers in the world.
Great, thank you, Brian. And you said there was a second question you saw?
Yes, so there was also a question from Claire Robinson earlier. It's a very useful developmental tool. Do you think this would replace coaching supervision?
I'll give that a crack.
Yeah, that's definitely for you, David.
I was just gonna be curious what you were going to say, Brian.
Yeah, I was sitting in the silence, David.
Yeah, well done. So this is the question we get asked all the time. Will this replace coaching and will this replace supervision? The answer is yes and no. Yes, it will replace rudimentary coaching capabilities, rudimentary supervisory capabilities. It can do, it can do things faster and in some cases slightly better than human coaches. And there's a lot of things it doesn't even come close to doing as well as a human coach or supervisor. So the way I look at this is that it's like any of you that are in business for yourself. You can't just rest on your laurels, right? You're always, because then the competitors come into your market, the market gets more crowded. Other people, it's the thing that you used to be the only person that did, now other people do that. And so I look at this as part of, in many ways, this whole platform is a dream come true for part of the mission I've had in coaching for 25 years, which was to advance the capacity of coaches and supervisors to mature human beings. And so in terms of the skills and the more competency-based things, I think AI is a huge bonus for us. It saves a lot of the maybe lesser tasks or of supervision in this case. It does that in ways for us pretty accurately. And then I believe prompts us, challenges us, invites us to go deeper, to really reimagine what coaching could be, to take care of some of the more rudimentary parts of our development with help from these kind of platforms, to leave our supervisory time to go deeper on the maturation of the human that is a coach. And so I look at it really as a gift. I think this is sparking coaching, which in my opinion has been sort of plateaued for a number of years, to actually get more serious about what it wants to become as a profession. The reason I wrote the huge paper for Harvard, and we're continuing to work on it, and then it'll be published as a report next year, is not to joust at windmills like ICF, but just to say the world needs us to grow up as a profession. It needs us to mature as practitioners. It needs us to get off our bums sometimes and get better at what we do. And so this is for me a huge gift in terms of being able to elevate more narrative coaches, to help bring our philosophy into the coaching space and help coaches and supervisors realize what's actually possible and what's actually needed. And so I think it's yes, if you want to sit back and do traditional supervision that has always been done, yeah, you may be in trouble. And that's good, because hopefully that'll inspire you to go get better. And this is a great tool to go do that.
David, there was also a question from Susan. Will there be opportunities to sign up for this down the road?
How far down the road? Which Susan is it? There's a couple of Susans.
Susan Hilger.
Yes. So Susan, I see you're still on the. So what do you mean by down the road? And you're on mute.
I'm still doing the narrative coaching
Yes.
program, and it's not a great time for me to spend the money to sign up for this right now.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if this is going to continue to be available, or if you missed the pilot, you missed the boat, or.
There's plenty of boats, Susan.
Okay.
So in like November or so, we'll start opening registration for the January cohort.
Okay.
And so we, like I said, this will be a central feature for narrative coaching going forward. And so in time, we expect that there'll be far more people in our practice groups in our programs.
Okay.
Because there's I don't know, was it like 3,000 people have been trained as narrative coaches by now. And so we just see this as an opportunity to really advance the practice of narrative coaching. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I'm just scanning the chat. Thanks for picking that up, Brian. We will have hosts for other sessions, so this will make it much easier. But kind of got caught off guard this morning. All right. Is that enough for now? All right. So feel free to wander on over if you want to check out again their website. And we'd love to have you as part of the program. So it'd be really great. So we can just go. There it is. And then it has a nice little chart so you can compare. And we hope that you'll come and join us. All right. Thank you for your time. If you've got further questions, you can always reach out. We're happy to help. And I hope you'll come and join us. And thanks, Brian, for showing up. Really appreciate it. I made a few notes for myself so I can be the voice of Brian on subsequent calls. So excellent.
Thanks, David. Thanks for working with us, and thanks everyone. Good to see you.
All right.
Thank you, David and Brian.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
You're most
Adios.
welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.